here's my tractor. You know, it has the 42-inch tires. It's a narrow front with a single wheel, but I noticed something right here. You can see there's a crack right here in that front, whatever you want to call this, yoke for that front tire. So I'm gonna have to fix that somehow. In the meantime, I have something really cool that I'm actually really excited about. So I'll go show you that. This is what I'm really excited about. So this is a front end, a narrow front end with a Roll-O-Matic. It's off of a John Deere 60. And it will bolt right on to the split pedestal on my on the front of my tractor. And so I'm going to put this on, take that front yoke off of mine that's cracked, and then I'll have a Roll-O-Matic on the front end of mine. This is a John Deere 1274R rim, and I bought a couple of these. We're cleaning them up. I'll put some tires on those, and then I'll have this Roll-O-Matic front end on my tractor. So I'm really excited. That'll be a fun change. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clean up this front end now. I'm going to take these hubs off the front on both sides and get those cleaned up, getting ready to paint yellow. And then while I'm doing that, while I have these off, I'm going to clean up all the rest of the front end, make sure that it's clean and lubed up and in good order, and then I'm going to paint that. You'd actually be amazed at how much that front end weighs. It probably weighs about 140 pounds. I mean, I had to carry it from the bed of my truck over here and lift it up on the counter, and it was about all I could do to manage getting it up here. But maybe when I take these hubs off on either side, maybe that'll make it a little bit lighter and easier to move around. But either way, I'm going to get it cleaned up and ready for paint. So as I was disassembling this front end to try to paint it, you know, I took these hubs off so that I could paint those yellow. And as I was taking the hub off of this side, this is the what would be like the passenger side axle. As I was taking the hub off of here, I noticed that there was a little bit of slop or play in here, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it or hear it, but watch. Maybe you can hear it. I don't know, when I shake it, since the whole thing kind of moves. Anyway, there's slop right around that bushing. And I was like, oh, well, it looks like I'm gonna have to replace those bushings. I think I found some online. But yeah, sure enough, when, you know, it's loose and not that great. And when I took this out, let's see, if I rotate that, I'm not sure if it's like a split bushing. Oh, let me focus here. Maybe it's a split bushing, but that looks like a crack or something. I'm not sure, but whatever. There's excessive play in there. It's not that great. So anyway, so yeah, I found that surprise, but that's nothing compared to what's on the other side. I'll show you that. Here, hold on a second. This side of the axle, this would be like the driver's side axle on the front. When I took this dust cap off right here, I saw, you know, this was screwed in all the way, and I thought, oh, there's only one bolt. So I loosened this, and as soon as I took this off, look down in there. Oh, look at this nice little present the previous owner left me at some point. Oh yeah, because when I took this off, I noticed that these were 5/8 inch. This was a 5/8 inch bolt, and the other ones on this were 9/16 bolts. You know, and they had the tie wires on them. And I thought, oh, this one's a bigger bolt. When I took this off, yeah, that's why someone at some point busted off those smaller diameter bolts, and so this guy drilled these out to a bigger size, to next bigger size, and then boom, tap broke off inside there. And he said, well, I'm just putting the cap back on, and he reassembled it. But this side actually doesn't, the bushing here, excuse me, the bushing here is actually in pretty good shape. There's not any play with this side like there is the other side. So one side has a lot of play, and then this side has a busted off a tap in the bolt hole. So I'm gonna mess around. I'm gonna try to get this off, to get that out. I have no idea how deep down in that is, and I don't even know if I'll be able to get that out. So I don't know. This is what happens when you start disassembling something to paint, to paint it. You realize, oh, this bushing's worn a little bit. Oh, there's a tap that's busted off down inside that hole. Anyway, it just kind of snowballs. So we'll see what happens. I went ahead and used my calipers here to measure these bushings. This bushing right here and here, and then I measured the post on either side of that. There's this one on the left side, and then there's the one on the right side too. Measured those, and interestingly enough, I thought that there was a little bit of slop in there when I was taking it apart. But as I've gotten everything cleaned up, there is about 9 thousandths clearance between these bushings and these little stubby axle shafts, or whatever you want to call them. Not too bad. 9 thousandths. I mean, the main bearings or not the main, the rod bearings are what, 5 thousandths, or 4 or 5 thousandths. So it's really pretty tight. I think it's tight enough. I'm not going to worry about replacing these bushings. I think they're good enough, and as long as I keep them greased through these grease zerks, then I don't think I should have too much of a problem. And if I do, then I can look at replacing these bushings. But for now, I'm just going to leave them the way they are. You can see also there's that tap that's busted down in there that I showed you. After reading online and talking to a few machinists, everybody says, oh yeah, the best way to get that out is you just get a cold chisel or like a hard punch and bust that out. Yeah, that didn't really work too great. Here's this is a US made make-you punch, and man, all it does is it just messes up the tip of my punch. Same thing with my nice cold chisels. All it does is just mess those up, and it didn't really even do much at all to that busted off tap. So I'm not going to mess with that. I don't know how to get that out. I tried backing it out and walking it out. It is really wedged in there very good. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to drill and tap a hole right here and a hole right here. That way I've got two. I'll probably just put the 3/8 inch bolts in there, or whatever size they are. I think they're 3/8. Put one here and here, and that should accomplish the same purpose that these two bolts used or performed. So that's my plan, and I don't think it's not really going to affect the strength of this little stubby axle shaft or post sticking out here, because I'm only going to go down in probably about 3/4 of an inch to an inch. I'm not going to go down very deep. And then I can paint this and get this all put back together and get it thrown on my tractor. Okay, I went ahead and I marked where we're going to drill these two new holes. We've got it set up pretty solidly in our drill press. We put this level on it to get everything as level as we could. This direction and that direction. So we're going to go ahead and drill a hole with about 1.25 inches deep. And then we'll go ahead and tap it. Okay, here it is, drilled and tapped. New holes, works great. So I drilled them down about 1.25 inches, maybe a little bit more. And then I used this tap, this blind tap, to go down about 1 inch in each one. Drilled and tapped that one. Then I drilled and tapped that one, and I got down just about 1 inch deep with the threads, and I heard a crunch. My heart stopped, and you can see there's just so much pressure when you're tapping with a blind tap like this. I mean, that's why you use a tapered tap. But it snapped off that one flute on this, and I said, that's deep enough. I backed it out, and I can still get my bolt down inside that hole just fine. It goes down deep enough. So yeah, that's great. That'll be way stronger than what it was with just that one bolt. It was already kind of goobered up. So yeah, that's great. And this $10 tap I bought a high quality tap, you know, made in USA tap, and I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, that $10 tap, it's now trash, but man, it served its purpose. Okay, painted these up. I wasn't as careful with my masking on these. I figured I could just clean up those axles just with some lacquer thinner, but let that paint sit out here in the sun. It's supposed to get up to about 60, like 55 today, so just let that sit out here in the sun all day and dry. Everything is all painted, and I went to put it back together. You can see down here in this crate, got everything. I went to pack bearings, and I was going to put everything back together. Unfortunately, this plate right here, there's two of them. One goes on this side, the other goes on that side. When I was up at my dad's drilling out those two new holes, I took the plate out of my truck and I went and I test fit it. When I got back home, I realized that I left that other plate up at my dad's. So I have everything ready to go. New gaskets made, hardware painted, but I can't put it back together because I don't have that other plate. One thing that you need to be aware of when you're putting this back together, whoops, that's not, there we go, it's focused now. Right here, you can see that punch mark on this one axle, and then there's a corresponding punch mark right here. You see that? And so when you're reassembling this, you just want to make sure that those two punch marks line up. I'll show you what I mean. So I've got on the back side here, you can't see it, but you can see the gear right down in here. Right there. Can you see on that tooth? Right there is where my punch mark is. So now, just got to take this. Right here's the punch mark there. So then I just got to orient those two so they go together. Okay, there it is. Now, those are both back together. Oops. And you can see when I push one down, the other one goes up, and vice versa. And they both have the same amount of upward and downward travel. Okay. Obviously, I still need to lube everything, but I'm just gonna do that on my own. Same thing with packing bearings. I'm gonna do that on my own. And next time you see this, it will be all put back together up at my dad's place, and we'll throw it onto my tractor. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna clean up these rims, get rid of all the rust that's on them, and I'm gonna do that just with, I got a couple of wire wheels right here, and these like cup type sanders or wire bristled brushes, and I'm just gonna throw it on my angle grinder and see how they clean up. Okay, here's the rim all cleaned off. Cleaned up pretty good. I don't know if you can, how well you can see, but it's pretty pitted through here, especially by the valve stem. Let's find the valve stem. There. It's especially pitted right there, but it's still, like I said, these are heavy duty rims, and so they're thick, and so there's still a lot of material there. So quite a bit of pitting, but still a lot of good material left. Here's something that's interesting. When I was cleaning these rims off, let's see if I can find it. Hold on a second. See? So here's what I found. When you're cleaning these rims off and you get them down to bare metal, right here you can see here's a US patent RE21960. It's hard to tell what the bottom number is. I don't know if it'll zoom in, or here it is. RS219602317 311 or 44. And then there's a number that's stamped right there in the steel. I'll show you something else too. I don't know if you can see this, but right here there's a kind of a symbol with some numbers around it, and then right here, if there was ever any question where John Deere made their rims, made in US. I can't really see the A, but I'm guessing it says USA. Kind of cool. Here's something else that's kind of cool. When you get your rims clean, you can kind of tell how they were made right here. I don't know if you can tell, but right there, you can see that's where the weld was, where they formed this outer rim, and then they welded it together right there. And then if you flip it over, you can kind of see right here, that's where the weld was. You know, there's those two scribe marks where they ground it down. It's like that on both sides. See? So anyway, it's kind of cool to kind of look back in history at how John Deere made their stuff. But, and you can see the spot welds right there, you know, all around where they welded that inner disc to that outer rim. Anyway, next is primer. Here's the primer that I'm going to be using. It's just leftover primer that I've had. It's just some flat white primer, Van Sickle brand. I like that Van Sickle brand. The paint primer seems to be pretty good. Here's the old $7 Harbor Freight HVLP gun that I'm going to be spraying with. Got these hubs masked off right here on the flange where the tire mounts. I don't think it would matter if I got paint on there, but I just don't want to get too much paint stacked up that then it makes it hard to get the tire or the rim on and off. So what I'm going to do is when I paint these, I'm going to paint the back side here, and then I'll flip it over so it looks like this, and then I'll paint the top side, and then I can move them out of the way. And then I've got these posts, just these chunks of extra wood that I've got that my daughters were playing with. Anyway, I'm going to use these. I've just put some screws sticking out of that, and then I've got my rims right here. Then I can take a rim, bring it over here. Hold on a second. Then I just set my rims on top of that. It's just supported by those 3 screws. I'll paint this inside portion of the rim. Then I can flip it over, and if there's a couple of indentations or mark off spots right here, this, I don't care about it right here. This is on the inside flange where it's going to bolt up to right there. So then I can paint basically the whole rim in one shot. So I've got one here and one right there, and should go pretty smoothly. So here's these rims all painted up. There's 2 coats on this, but I really like how shiny that Van Sickle paint goes on, and it'll actually probably stay about that shiny since I put that catalyst in it. So it's good heavy duty paint. Here's the hubs. So yeah, here's the rims with the tires mounted on them. I think they look pretty good. I just bought these tires. They are just bought them on eBay. Where's the size here? Right there. You can see they're 6.5 by 16s. And I just bought them on eBay. With shipping, they were about $100, a little over $100 per tire. So not super cheap, but I think they look really nice. When we were mounting them, they got a little bit scratched right there and there, down there, but I will just touch that up right after they get mounted on the tractor, because I'm sure that the lug nuts also that I painted, they'll probably also get a little bit scratched. So I'll just touch all that up after it's on the tractor. But I think they look really good. Really happy with how these rims and tires turned out. Yeah, I think they look real nice.